All right, example 2. So we have this problem. Let's go to the toolbox, and let's go through all of the tools in the toolbox before we start. And let's decide, can I do this, yes or no? Okay? So, first tool in the toolbox. Right? This again, I can't emphasize this enough. This is not step 1 every time. It's the first tool that we check. And here's the thing. In almost every single problem we do, you're going to be able to use this tool. That doesn't mean you have to use it first. The people that struggle with this, I will be honest with you, I've been doing this for a decade. The people that struggle with this topic do this first every single time, no matter what. And in some cases, it makes the problem more difficult. So even though we write this first, and even though we're going to be able to do this pretty much every single time, we shouldn't do that first every single time. Okay, just as a public service announcement. So, can I do this? Yes, I can do this. This is a tool that I might want to use for this problem. Okay, looking here. What about manipulating and substituting Pythagorean identities for squared terms? Do you see any squared terms in this problem? No. Okay, so we're not going to do this just yet. Rather than crossing the whole thing out, because we may have to come back. Okay? Factoring a common term, or the difference of squares, remember, in order to factor, we need to have plus something or minus something. That's when we start factoring. We don't have that here. Okay? So we're not going to do this just yet. Find a common denominator and combine fractions. There are no fractions in this problem. So I'm not going to do that just yet. Factor by grouping, we just said no. All right, I'm on record as saying this is very rare. All right. Decomposing a fraction, there is no fraction. So we went through the whole list this time, and still we're left with the conclusion that this is the only tool that I can use to start this problem. Okay, so use it. Write everything in terms of sine or cosine. Well, look, this is already in terms of cosine. You don't have to write cosines in terms of sines. You have to write everything in its cosine or sine form. Tangent has a form that includes sine and cosine. Okay, let's see if I can find it. Nope, that's the warm-up. My bad. Here it is. This is from yesterday. The tangent of x is equal to sine x over cosine x. So anytime I see a tangent, I can replace it with that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the cosine x alone, and in place of tangent x, I'm going to substitute cosine x. Now, don't automatically go back to the toolbox. Work with this. Simplify what you can. If you can multiply, multiply. If you can cancel, cancel. If you can add, subtract, subtract. Whatever you can do to it, do it. Math it. Okay? So what does this look like? Well, this is a fraction and this isn't. So even though this tool that I'm about to say isn't in the toolbox, it's never a bad idea to write that as a fraction. And what happens? My daughter learned about this yesterday when she's in 5th grade, and I'm not trying to say that we're doing 5th grade math, but she learned about cross-canceling. She's multiplying fractions, and I showed her that last week, and she came home yesterday, and she was so excited to tell me that like she had learned about cross-canceling in school, right? She's kind of a nerd. Okay, I'm just kidding. I love my daughter. All right? But she's like, Dad, I learned about cross-canceling today. Oh, I was like, awesome. Like, I would love it if all of my students got so excited about cross-canceling. Anyway, sorry. We can cross-cancel when we multiply. So these cosines will cancel. And we're left with what? Sine x over 1. And what's sine x over 1? That's just sine x. That's pretty darn simple compared to what we started with. Okay? Done. If you're asking yourself, when am I done? How do I know if how do I know I can't do anything more? Look at what you have now and what you started with. You started with 2 terms, now you have 1. I'd say that's pretty simple. Is everything always going to simplify down to 1 term? No. Okay. But there's nothing else, even if I went back to the toolbox, there's none of these could then be used on what we're looking at here. There's no squared terms, there's no fractions, there's no plus or minus signs. Okay? So we'd be done with that.